So what is the best healer in Mist of Pandaria? Well, this I will be covering in this video, where I've put together 3 different tier lists. One covering the beginning of Mist of Pandaria, one at the end, and also the overall performance throughout the entire expansion. So what is the best healer in phase 1? Well, let's start at the bottom, where you'll find the Holy Priest. Sadly, they're not really useful, as they're not doing a lot of AoE healing or absorb effects. Therefore, I'm also placing them at the bottom. Mistweaver can be found above. Yeah, they are doing better heals compared to the Holy Priest, but they're sadly not that great in the beginning of the expansion. This is however not the same case for a Resto Druid. They're actually performing a lot better, and on some fights I've even seen them being on top of the meters. What about the Holy Paladin? Well, this is actually not that great as well. I would compare them together with a Mistweaver monk, but on some fights they can also be close to where you find the Resto Druid. However, Shamans are being such an amazing healer, and you'll most likely see them on top of the meters for many different fights, together with the Disciplined Priest. Yeah, Discipline and Resto Shamans are the best healers in phase 1, and you'll usually find them on top of the meters for most of the fights in the game. This is also pretty clear when we're checking the different beta streams, heroic kills and normal runs, Discipline and Resto being at the top. And when I check the top healers, it's the exact same, having 2 discs at the top, 2 Resto Shamans and also a Resto Druid right below. This do of course also depends on the fight, but when I checked through so many different logs, it's always the same picture. Either the same or the 2 same classes being at the top, and then sometimes maybe a Resto Druid or Holy Paladin competing. But this is rare scenarios, and I never really see any Mistweaver monks or Holy Priests performing any good. I've also checked looking for raid logs, and here there were of course some Mistweaver monks, but if you pay attention to the healing per second, then it's clear they can't really compete with the 2 other classes at the top. I've also compared it to Mist of Pandaria private server data with the best possible gear in phase 1, and it doesn't really change a lot, beside Mistweaver monks sometimes outperforming the Holy Paladin. But this also depends if it's going to be 10 or 25 man mode, as Mistweavers are not really doing a great amount of healing or well AoE healing in 25 man compared to the Holy Paladin. How about the end of the expansion? Well, what if I told you this is 10 man heroic with a Discipline just solo healing? Will it surprise you that things doesn't really change a lot? Well, this sadly doesn't at the end. Holy Priest will still remain at the bottom, unless Blizzard decides to do a change in Mist of Pandaria Classic. And here we'll most likely also be finding the Mistweaver monk, as they're not really performing that great. At least not when we compare to the Holy Paladin, that usually does a bit better compared to the Mistweaver monk on most fights, and in 25 man. Resto Druid are starting to catch up, and are performing really good, which is why I placed them above Holy Paladin. But Discipline and Resto Shaman are still being the best healers, at least in my opinion, and when we check old logs. However, I gotta be honest, I would actually move Mistweaver up close to the Holy Paladin, because when we compare to the Holy Priest, there's nothing to really compare. Holy Priest are damn awful. So if you have always been playing Holy Priest, then I would recommend you to try the Discipline in the pre-patch to get used to some of their spells, because you'll most likely end up healing as Discipline in Mist of Pandaria. How about the overall performance throughout the entire expansion? Well, at the top there will definitely be Discipline. It's always performing good, no matter the phase. But Resto Shamans can't really be placed as the top healer. In phase 2 they will struggle a bit more compared to Discipline. And this is why this list will also be a bit different, because Resto Druids are doing a lot better in phase 2 compared to phase 1, where they will start competing with the Resto Shaman. Holy Paladins are still not doing the best, but they are pretty decent. And here we will also be finding the Mistweaver monk. And of course, yeah, not a shocking, Holy Priest at the bottom. Soon I will be releasing a lot of other Mist of Pandaria videos and guides, so make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell to get notified when I post these. As always, thank you so much for watching and have an amazing day. Peace.